Good morning, gorgeous people. Welcome to the new day. I just really wanted to pop on today because I spent a lot of time last night talking to Spirit, and I usually do, which is absolutely fine. But they wanted to talk to me about kind of how to handle September, which actually made me laugh because they said there was going to be quite a few epiphany moments in September where you were going to be given some of your own soul clarity. Now, soul clarity is because about 6 or 7 months ago, our souls are now in charge of the human body, and they're kind of pushing us forward, and it's why time has sped up quite a lot. Now, I know everything has been really stop start because of COVID and lockdowns and all of those sort of things as well, but within that, it kind of forces us to not be able to actually look ahead, because when we're looking ahead, we're not living fully present in the present moment. So when they said to me that September will be filled with soul clarity moments, it means that you're going to reach a certain level within your own self around certain events. So say if you had a work issue, and you've been navigating through that, and trying to find your peaceful alignment and all those sort of things within your work, and then suddenly you go, you know what, no, I'm not keeping the peace anymore, I'm going to be outspoken, I'm going to do this. Those are what Spirit calls soul clarity moments, is where your soul has actually said, no, I'm actually kind of tired of being the nice one or the accommodating one, and I'm actually going to speak out. So soul clarity happens like that, and apparently through September we're going to have quite a few of these. It's a really good thing. The one thing to actually deal with is sometimes a human part of us can go, oh, I feel really guilty that I was outspoken, or I feel really that I should have dealt with that differently. Those sorts of things are actually normal, but it's really important to watch your focus and intention when that happens. If something is building up in you and you've got resentment and frustration, it's either you leave it and try and contain it and it gets worse until you do go boom, or in soul clarity moments you give yourself permission without guilt of actually saying, well, this is actually truthfully how I feel in myself. Now, when I say this, it's not a free license. I remember a couple of years ago everyone got very new agey and said, well, I'm yelling how I feel. No, nobody asked you to actually do that. It's about recognition within yourself of what you need to do for yourself. And sometimes the quietest voices and with the most assertive kind of tone of voice can actually be heard the loudest, and that's the way that it works. So soul clarity, the best way to deal with it is to actually give yourself the focus and intention of saying, okay, this is truthfully how I feel, but how do I word it to someone that I get the best response, or I feel the most heard? Because literally when we're yelling or we're wanting to get a point of view across in a crisis moment, it's because we actually desperately want to feel heard. The most important person that hears it is you. So having a think about your focus and intention and how you want to convey something is one of the most important things that you can actually do. Now, the one thing that they also want us to do with self-clarity, understanding in September is, sorry, that does make me laugh because I know in myself over the last couple of weeks, because I do sometimes get to experience some of this before you guys had it, is where it's out your mouth before you've even thought about what it's actually sounded like. And it's really important not to justify. If something has flown out your mouth inadvertently, you're going to put yourself on the back foot if you start justifying why you actually said something. So it is a little bit about actually coming into recognition and your own accountability and saying, actually, whoops, I did say that, but it's how I feel. And you're not apologising for that. It's just basically stopping it there, or getting yourself to actually stop there and not actually say anything else after that as well. Now, the other thing is, and that's focus on intention. So putting your intention into it and saying, in the nicest tone of voice, well, actually, that is how I actually feel. Thanks for enabling me to actually share that with you. You can actually start conversations that are quite difficult by actually being in a grateful or gratitude way when you're actually explaining something to somebody else as well. That September's full of these. I'm not giggling really, but I am. The other thing is focus and intention can come to play on events that you actually can't control. Now, we can have a huge amount of frustration build up in us when we're just like, this is not going the way that we would like it to, and I'm really frustrated by this not happening the way that I would like it to. So we have to be really, really mindful of where our levels of control are. We can control how we turn up during the day. We can control positivity. We control negativity as well. It's whatever focus and tension that we decide to be in. Now, soul level clarity in September can sometimes make you instantaneously into feeling really, really annoyed about something or really, really happy about something. It's a little bit of navigation when we're going through soul clarity, because it really keeps on you checking in with yourself and going, yep, actually, I'm okay with that. But you might surprise yourself with some of the epiphanies that actually become apparent through September as well. Um, the conscious setting of intention, now I was talking to someone about this yesterday, is we can actually rise above so that you're not caught up in a drama dynamic, that can see things from a better perspective as well. And there is a conscious setting of intention as well. So, I'll use an example. If you get to the supermarket and you think, oh, I only just want to call in, I just want to get one thing, and you get to the supermarket and everybody else is in the same idea and you're all in the same queue, it is absolutely pointless to actually go into frustration at that period of time. It's a process. So rise above by consciously setting the intention of gratitude. I'm grateful I'm in the queue. I'm grateful that I'll get into the supermarket and I'll have what I want. And sit in that really lighter intention as well, because you won't cause your any soul clarities to drop out of your mouth, but you also will be able to actually sit in a really good intention space as well. So, like all things, moments pass, time passes as well. We have to live with ourselves and the choices that we say. And we are working our own energy consciously at this moment as well, because when you're actually turning up in the best of intentions for yourself, which doesn't have to be all sweetness and light, don't get me wrong, we're not sweetness and light all the time. It is about actually being assertive in yourself about where your energy's flowing. I don't want to give all my energy to a drama. I don't have the time or the inclination. And if I'm consciously choosing on giving my energy to that, then I have to concede that it was me that was actually doing that. So in September, just be really, really clear with yourself how you want to turn up. I mean, that is matching your own soul's clarity. And because it's your soul and it's your soul evolution, you are going to know where you actually stand with this as well. Just don't make the mistake of justifying. When you're working your own energy, you're turning up in spaces that's for you, in your own space, and it isn't monitoring or looking after somebody else's energy. It's turning up in the best way possible for yourself as well. If you're having a grumpy day, decide where you want to be. We kind of get negativised when we're grumpy, and when we're grumpy, we only see the other kind of energy. So we notice all the other grumpy people out there, and then we go, God, those people are grumpy. I knew I was having a bad day. No, you weren't having a bad day. You got into a funk where you only notice the vibrational frequency of other people, or you responded to the vibrational frequency of other people. Conscious setting of intention, working with your own energy means you can turn up exactly the way that you want to turn up for you. And Spirit's phrase is rise above, like rise above. So I quite often say, I feel like I'm going to get pulled into this a little bit. Can you help me rise above and sit in the best possible intention so that I can actually hear clearly with clarity and convey what I need to say with clarity as well. It's kind of like a little bit of working with conflict resolution within yourself, because we're transitioning. This is a massively transitioning next 3 months that we're going through, and a lot of people, I'm saying, are having this internal fight with themselves. Now we're noticing this, it's within, without. We're having a lot of internalisations about the right thing to do, what should we do, all of those sort of things. That's happening on the planet at the moment as well. There is that divide, Spirit calls it, the great divide between different points of view, and we've actually got to be really careful to understand that if we're running from one point of view really, really passionately, it's only a need to be right. If we're running from this point of view very, very passionately, that's only a need to be right as well. And I keep hearing that song all day today, clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right, here I am stuck in the middle with you. Well, you're not stuck in the middle, you're actually allowed to actually see a point of view, see another point of view, but be okay to make a decision for yourself within yourself. Take your time. Get a conflict resolution going with yourself and saying, okay, I hear that perspective, and then I'm checking in with my own soul to see what actually truthfully suits me. but I don't need to convert the rest of the world or change the rest of the world, because there's an evolutionary space, and I want to reiterate this. There is an evolutionary space that is going to go on all the time in the next 3 months as we come to realisations. We might investigate it that way, then change something this way. We are not there yet. You are here, and you are working with yourself on a daily basis for what you need to do for yourself. We need to get some resolution in ourselves of how happy we are doing that before we're actually trying to actually, you know, change the rest of the world, because most of the disharmony is centered within ourselves most of the time. It just reflects outwards into the universe, and the collective consciousness right at the moment is a really, really big divide. It's one moment it's in fear, and one moment it's in positivity. So we're doing this whole roller coaster of energy. Can you please start to work with yourself within this, because you are your own best friend. You're the best one that you've got. If you're not being a best friend to yourself, then how can you make wise, conscious decisions in the rest of your world? You can't. You just walk around in conflict all the time. And when you're in conflict, it's a bit like being in a grumpy. You see all the conflicted people. So it isn't about converting anything. It's about deciding the intention, listening to your soul clarity, and stepping into ownership of where you're most comfortable within yourself. These are changing times, people. You don't need me to tell you this. We are in one of the biggest expansion phases we've been in, and we're getting to do it. And you came to come at this period of time to be on the planet for this. The person that you can most work with is your beautiful self, and you're amazing. But get out of conflict and sit in the comfortability of working with your own soul to get the clarity that you actually need. I understand completely why September is Soul Clarity Month, and I shouldn't laugh every time that I say that, but it's really, really important for you to understand that as you're working with you, lighten it. Start to actually see where you do have the ability to change the energy of people around you just by turning up in a more kind of safe way with your own self out of that conflict, and resolving that you don't have to make a decision right now. You also don't need to justify any decisions to anyone else. You need to have a level of contentment in your own self of where you're actually at as well. So we're kind of cruising through September. And if you're wanting to, you're getting that soul epiphany that I need to change your job. If you're getting a soul epiphany that actually finally need to say something to someone, then say that. But check in with yourself so you're in a less conflict, so reactive space, so that you're not actually triggered where you don't feel that you have a sense of control. And check in with yourself and see where you actually have a need to be right, or feel that you need some to be right, or justify that with someone else. Because if you feel okay to be right in yourself, you don't justify. That's the way that it actually works. Above all, and the one thing that they keep stressing to me is we have rising awareness happening on the planet at the moment around choices, around control, around what we listen to, about what we observe, how we actually do. Regardless of that, we are all in this together, and it costs you no freedom to be kind. It costs you nothing to be understanding. We are in unity together. It's time we start acting like this as well. September is a month where we get lots of those epiphanies, lots of understandings, and we're moving forward. We're moving forward anyway. The time between now and Christmas is just going to actually disappear. October has its own interesting energy, but I'll get to that later in the month. Just for the moment, because we're right here, turn up in the best possible way for you on a daily basis. If you need some pampering, do some pampering for yourself. If you need to actually speak to someone, then find someone who's either impartial or whatever, where you can feel like you can actually have your say. When we communicate, and particularly women, when we communicate, we actually make decisions at the same time that we're talking. For men, beautiful, beautiful men, can you find people to kind of talk to as well, because men keep a lot of emotions to themselves, but they're equally just as emotional and just as passionate as what females are as well. We are all in this together. We need to find the unity to do with that. So pay attention. Have a really good rest of the month, but really decide what you can control, what you can't control, start getting to the nitty gritty of what you actually need by checking in with your own soul and saying, am I 100% happy with this? What do I need to do for me? And do that, the things that you can control, and stop trying to think so far in advance. We're not there yet. I've got so many people saying I have to do this because I won't be able to do that over there. How do you know that? You don't know that because we're not there yet. And it is a really complex next 6 months that we've got coming. And I don't mean that in a negative way. There's just lots of choices coming up. So until we're there, we'll address it then. At the moment, do what you need to do. And above all else, be kind to you, everyone else, and look after you. We're in it together. Have a great day.